Okay, so for today's video, ang pag-uusapan natin is all about treasury shares. Treasury shares are an entity's own shares that have been issued and then reacquired but not canceled. So, yung ibig sabihin ng treasury shares no ay napaliwanag ko na doon sa ating previous video no about treasury shares. So, nandito yung link no ng previous video about treasury shares. So, panoorin nyo na lang yon. No? Ayan. So, recap lang tayo. Ano-ano ba yung mga requisites to qualify as treasury shares? So, dapat ang shares must be entity's own shares. Dapat the shares acquired must have been issued originally and the shares are reacquired but not canceled. So, dapat no present itong ABC no to qualify as treasury shares. Kasi kapag yung isa diyan sa tatlong yan ay hindi present, no, then hindi treasury shares 'yun, no. So the shares must be the shares must be entity's own shares. So example, we have JFC, no. Jollibee Foods Corporation. So kunyari accountant ka no ng Jollibee Foods Corporation. Tapos, itong si Jollibee Foods Corporation, binili niya yung sarili niyang shares. So, si Jollibee Food Corporation, o si Jollibee Foods Corporation, bumili siya ng Jollibee Foods Corporation shares. No? Binili niya yung sarili niyang shares. So, treasury shares yun, no? Kasi kapag shares ng ibang company, so let's say, no, kunyari, GMA, no, ayan. GMA shares. So, kunyari, accountant ka ng Jollibee Foods Corporation, tapos si Jollibee Foods Corporation ay bumili ng shares of stock ni GMA. Hindi yon treasury shares, no? Kasi dapat, the shares must be the entity's own shares. Ayan, ha? Tawag natin dito, no, dun sa pagbili ni JFC ng shares of stock ni GMA. So, basically, tawag natin doon is investment. No? Ang accounting treatment doon would be investment. No? Investment. So, may encounter niyo rin yan, no? Si investment sa inyong intermediate accounting and sa iba pang mga higher accounting subjects. Pag-uusapan natin is treasury shares. The shares must have been issued originally. So, ibig sabihin dapat, no, yung shares of stock na binili ni Jollibee Foods Corporation or ni JFC is dapat na-issue mo na yon originally, no? Kumbaga, nasa kamay muna ng shareholder, na-issue na kay shareholder, tapos, kumbaga, iba-buyback, no? Ni Jollibee Foods Corporation. Babayaran niya si shareholder, no? Babayaran ni JFC si shareholder. Dahil si shareholder na yon, ibabalik kay JFC yung shares of stock na hawak ng shareholder na yon. No? So, ganun yung treasury shares. Letter C, the shares are reacquired but not canceled. So, dapat hindi canceled, no? Kumbaga, binili ni JFC yung JFC shares, pero dapat hindi niya ika-cancel, no? Kasi kapag kinancel niya yun, hindi treasury shares ang tawag doon, no? Kumbaga, retirement na yon, no? Retirement of shares of stock na yung tawag doon, no? Hindi na yon, kumbaga, treasury shares. Accounting for treasury shares, the cost method is used in accounting for treasury shares. Treasury shares shall be recorded at cost, regardless of whether the shares are acquired below or above the par or stated value. So, nag-recap lang tayo, no, ng cost method. If the treasury shares are acquired for cash, the cost is equal to the cash payment. Ayan, no. So, usually, ito yung na-encounter yung transaction sa treasury shares, no. Usually, sa mga problem solving, no, yung treasury shares acquired for cash. Kumbaga, ang journal entry natin dan, kung natatandaan nyo pa, debit treasury shares, credit cash, no? Ayan. Yung amount, kung magkano, syempre, yung binayad. Debit treasury shares, credit cash. If the treasury shares are acquired for non-cash consideration, the cost is usually measured by the carrying amount of the non-cash assets surrendered. Paano naman, no, kapag yung treasury shares acquired for non-cash consideration? So, non-cash asset yung pinangbayad, no, to acquire treasury shares. The cost is usually measured by the carrying amount of the non-cash assets surrendered. So, example, let's say, instead of acquired for cash, kumbaga, acquired for non-cash consideration, tapos yung pinambayad, no, yung pinambayad is inventory. Yan, inventory. So, entry natin would be debit treasury shares, credit, inventory. Ayan. At what amount? The cost is usually measured by the carrying amount of the non-cash assets surrendered. So, tingnan mo yung carrying amount ng inventory. Yun yung ilalagay nating amount. Now, what if, kumbaga, instead of inventory, naging PPE, no? Ayan. Treasury shares are acquired for non-cash consideration. Tapos, yung pinangbayad ay property, plant, and equipment. So, ang entry naman natin doon, the debit treasury shares, debit accumulated depreciation, credit yung cost ng PPE, no, kung depreciable asset. Ayan. Ayan. Ang amount, i-record natin syempre, the cost of treasury shares is usually measured by the carrying amount, the non-cash assets surrendered. So, sa case na to, no, net, yung carrying amount ng PPE, cost minus accumulated depreciation. So, topic natin, no? Talagang topic natin today yan. Reissuance of treasury shares. So, may tatlong case, no? Una, yung reissuance at cost. Tapos, yung reissuance at more than cost of treasury shares. So, the gain, no, on sale of treasury shares is credited to share premium treasury shares. Reissuance at less than cost of treasury shares, the loss on sale of treasury shares is charged the following in order of priority. Una, i-charge natin siya share premium from treasury shares of the same class. Tapos, pag abus na yung number 1, retained earnings. Now, illustration, reissuance of treasury shares. At the beginning of the current year, Jung Ho Seok Company reported the following issues of share capital. So, ang requirement, prepare journal entries to record the foregoing transactions assuming the share has a 15 peso par value. Letter B, the shares is no par with stated value of 20. So, journal entries lang naman yung kailangan, no? Unahin natin tong letter A. So, dito na lang, no? Letter A, 15 pesos for value. Ayan. Sign ulit natin yung problem, no? So, during the current year, the entity reacquired 50,000 shares at 20, and these were reissued at year-end at 25 peso per share. So, merong 50,000 shares na issued sa shareholders tapos ni-reacquire, no, ni entity. Kumbaga, binayback niya, no? 50,000 shares at 20 pesos per share. Tapos, nung year-end, yung 50,000 shares na yon, inisyo niya na ulit, no? At 25 peso per share. So, inisyo niya ulit sa mga shareholders, no? 25 peso per share. Letter A. 15 peso par value. So, unahin muna natin to, no? Itong issuance, no, of shares. So, we have 200,000 shares at 20 pesos. So, nandiyan na yung amount, no? 4 billion. So, debit cash, 4 million. Credit, ordinary shares, no? OS na lang, no? Para medyo mapadali tayo. 200,000 times par value 15. That is 3 million pesos. Tapos, share premium, ordinary shares, 1 million. Next, 250,000 shares at 25. So, given na rin naman, no, yung amount. Debit cash, 6.25 million. Credit, ordinary shares, 250,000 times 15. Kasi ang assumption, yung 15 peso par value, no? Nasa letter A tayo. So, the answer is 3.75. Yan. Then, share premium, ordinary shares for the excess. So, that is 2.5 million. During the current year, the entity acquired 50,000 shares at 20. So, ito na, no? Debit treasury shares, credit. Pag mga gantong walang binanggit, no, as to consideration, ang assumption dyan ay cash. No? 50,000 times 20. So, ipalakita, no? 50,000 times 20. Answer is 1 million. Okay, class, uulitin ko na lang, no? Uulitin ko yung explanation dito sa ating journal entry for reissuance of treasury shares, no? Kasi hindi pala kita sa video yung ibang section ng handout. Kaya i-explain ko na lang ulit. So, ang entry natin dun sa reissuance of treasury shares at 25 peso per share is debit cash 1.25 million, credit treasury shares 1 million, tapos credit natin share premium treasury shares. Remember, ang cost of treasury shares is 20. Tapos, ang reissuance is 25 peso per share. So, magfo-fall siya dito sa number 2. No? Reissuance at more than cost of treasury shares. 25, mas malaki sa 20 na cost ng treasury shares. So, the gain on sale of treasury shares is credited to share premium treasury shares. Binili ng 1 million yung treasury shares, tapos ni-reissue at 1.25, so merong kumbaga gain, no? Gain on sale of treasury shares. Credit siya share premium treasury shares. And I hope, no? Malinaw naman, no, yung ating discussion so far ng reissuance of treasury shares. Now, next natin, kung yung letter A, 15 peso par value, tapos reissuance at 25. So, what if, no, kumbaga, same information, kumbaga 15 peso par value, pero gawin lang natin itong, instead na reissuance at 25, gawin nating reissuance at 18 per share. Paano kaya yung magiging entries natin, no? So, same information, 15 peso par value, tapos reissuance ng treasury shares, kumbaga, instead na 25, gawin nating 18. Paano kaya yon? So, syempre yung magiging journal entry natin for issuance of shares, eto, no, issuance of 200,000 shares would be same. So, parehas din to, no? Same. Ito parehas din, same. Kasi ang binago lang naman natin, yung reissuance, no? Assume natin na instead of 25, gawin natin 18. Paano kaya yon, no? So, mangyayari dyan, reissuance at less than cost of treasury shares. Kasi, yung cost is 20, yung reissuance ay 18. So, mas maliit, no? Yung reissuance compared dun sa cost, no? So, the loss on sale of treasury shares shall be charged to the following in order of priority. So, paano yung magiging entry natin doon? So, debit cash, no? 18 times, 50,000, no? 80 times 50,000. So, that is 900. So, credit, treasury shares, 1 million. Binili ng 1 million, ni-reissue 900. So, the loss is charged to the following. So, una, share premium from treasury shares. Pero wala namang available na share premium from treasury shares sa problem. So, hindi natin magagamit, no, yung order of priority number 1. Kasi wala namang given na share premium from treasury shares dito sa problem. Therefore, yung loss, charge na siya sa retained earnings. 100,000 pesos. So, ganito naman yung magiging entry natin kung reissuance at 18 peso. Mas maliit kaysa sa cost ng treasury shares. So, paano naman, no, kapag the share is no par with stated value of 20? So, ganito naman yung ating magiging journal entries kung no par pero may stated value na 20. So, again, no, issuance of 200,000 shares, we have debit cash, 4 million, credit ordinary shares, so 200,000 times 20. So, that is 4 million, no? Tapos, issuance of 250,000 shares at 6.25 million. Tapos, credit ordinary shares, 250,000 times 20. So, that is 5 million, no? 5 million. Credit, share premium, ordinary shares, 1.25 million. Ayan. Tapos, treasury shares. So, debit, treasury shares, 50,000 times 20. That is 1 million, no? Credit cash. Ayan. The entity acquired 50,000 shares at 20 and these were reissued at year-end at 25 per share. Ayan, no? So, 25, ang reissuance, 20, yung cost. So, mas maliit, no? Mas malaki, no? Mas malaki yung reissuance compared dun sa cost. So, therefore, ang entry natin would be debit cash. So, ganun din naman, no? 50,000 times 25. That is 1.25 million, no? Credit treasury shares, 1 million. Credit share premium. Kasi nga, the gain on sale of treasury shares is credited to share premium treasury shares. That is 250,000 pesos. So, yan. Tapos na, no, yung ating problem. So, ito yung answer natin sa letter A. Ayan, no. Tapos, ito naman yung answer natin sa letter B. Ayan. Tapos, itong nasa gitna, no, ito yung assumption natin na wherein the par value has 15 pesos, no? Par value is 15 pesos, pero ang reissuance niya ay ang reissuance ng treasury shares instead of 25, ginawa nating 18. No? Ayan. Kumbaga query lang, no? Query lang yung nasa gitna. Ayan.
par value 15, tapos reissuance of treasury shares at 18 pesos. Okay, so I hope na makatulong sa inyo itong video na to, no? And I hope no naintindihan niyo naman kahit paano yung accounting for reissuance of treasury shares.